Today we're going deep inside the brand new Angel's Blade supplement for Warhammer 40k and giving you our tips and tricks on it. Spiky bits. Make sure you stay in the trenches by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today. Alright, welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. Baer here again with another fantastic tips and tricks video for you this week. Now, it seems like every week there's been a new supplement or some sort of new rules coming out, and we've been recording all this great hobby content on the tutorial side, but man, I tell you, we haven't been able to get it out because there's been so much rules to get out. So it's a good time for the 40k hobby, I feel like. And we'll have plenty of tutorials and such coming out here in the near future. But getting to the new rules here, you know, Angel's Blade is out. It's the second part of the Trader's Hate, I guess, kind of back-to-back supplement kind of thing. You know, Black Crusade supplements. Depending on who you talk to and depending on, you know, what internet site you read, it's either a blatant money grab by Games Workshop or, you know, new hope for the Blood Angel players. And I'm kind of like a middle of the road on this whole thing. I feel like we can definitely cite where a lot of this material has already appeared in the past, but it is good to get, you know, new rules out there and new interests and new I guess kind of you know, get those hobby juices going, you know, because let's face it, Blood Angel's book is kind of buster, and now we've got 3 different supplements basically to reference stuff for. You got the main Blood Angels book, you've got the Exterminata supplement from the Shield of Baal saga, and now you've got this the Angel's Blade supplement as well. So it's starting to get a little hectic for the Blood Angels too, and I'm sure after 8th edition 40k drops, you will see, you know, some sort of second edition or second printing of codexes, including all the material in it. We're already seeing that from Black Library, which I surely hope those books auto-update with if any additional material comes out as well, because that would kind of suck if you bought, you know, the Definitive Space Wolves collection or the Demons or the Blood Angels, which I think all 3 are available right now, and you know, you didn't get the stuff. But you know, Black Library's been pretty good about auto-updating their things, you know, from Kill Team to even, you know, some of the supplements that already came out several years ago. So I like to buy the enhanced versions just because of that functionality personally. But however, for Blood Angels Codex, I have the EPUB. It's because I wasn't buying the enhanced stuff back in the day. I didn't realize how cool they were until about the last year or so. But it is what it is. So we're going to take a closer look at this thing. This is probably going to be a lengthy video just because of the fact that we're breaking down a lot of material here, and I also have some army lists to show you. Kenny came up with some great army lists over on the Long War, so we got those. We're also going to compare and contrast some of the material in, you know, previous supplements to kind of show you where a lot of the stuff is coming from, right? So first off, it's, you know, we've already done the first look on unboxing or review of this book. So, you know, it's a normal size supplement, 135 pages, comes with a lot of great material. I believe it's 9 formations in here. You get 2 detachments, you get tons of war gear, or 1 page of war gear only for Death Company. And then you get 2 or 4 different data sheets updating everything right here. So there's your brief overview. Assault squads got changed, Devastator squads got changed. You get a new Death Company chaplain and this Terminator captain right here. Now we're going to go through and grade everything. Jump over to the jump into the formations, jump back to the detachments and talk about that. Then we're going to get to army lists, and that should be about 40 minutes or so, I imagine. All right, so let's dive in here. So first off, they updated all of the new tanks with the squadron rules from Codex Space Marines that we've seen in the past. So now all 3 of the major flavors of Space Marines have been updated to that. Of course, Space Wolves, I don't believe have. I would have to check that codex, but I don't think they have that functionality, including the Ball Predator here. So that's kind of cool to see. And then they basically go into more on how all that functionality works. If you have the book, you can always check that out. There's the Decurion or the detachment. that we're going to talk about shortly. Now, the Terminator Captain, as far as an HQ choice goes, for 135, I think he's one of the weaker data sheets in here. I would rate this guy a D, just because he's too expensive. He is not Chapter Master status. He can upgrade to a better Thunderhammer that really is just Master Crafted, so you're paying to Master Craft it. He already comes with a Thunderhammer. He's just kind of buster. Like, I'm not really feeling this guy. He's already too many points, I feel like. Not really feeling him. Not really feeling him, to be honest. Now, the Death Company Chaplain, on the other hand, normally a 90-point option in the Blood Angels Codex. For 125, and he comes with a jump pack, and he comes, obviously, with his standard loadout, a Furious Charge, Independent Character, and Zealot. But the key here is the Rites of Blood, which, in addition to Zealot, which lets you re-roll your charges, your charge rolls, or excuse me, to hit on the charge, rather. It also basically effectively makes you fearless. It's not the fearless rule, but effectively makes you fearless. So Zealot's a great rule, and then the fact that you can reroll all your to wound rolls in the fight subphase is pretty strong too, unless of course you make a disordered charge, which is pretty much the caveat for a lot of special rules in here. So he is good in a lot of different situations. He's not restricted to being as part of a Death Company squad either. So you can have a Death Company Chaplain just in there as an HQ, leading normal squad of Blood Angel dudes. I mean, you could even put him in with Terminators, you know, and stuff like that, which you're going to see will be very strong. So 125, I feel like he's probably like a B+ kind of character. He's not something that's an auto-include in every list, but he's something that in the list he is he is going to bring the heat to that list and also really help out and synergize a lot of things here. Assault Squads went down to 70 points, the same price as Space Marines, their Space Marine cousins, so to speak. And of course, they already had all the options for grav pistols and grav guns, but now they get the Eviscerator, which is kind of key. I don't feel like quite as key because they can't take the Skyhammer Annihilation Force, but it's cool that you buy that kit now and you can use all the parts that are in it, you know what I mean? So it's good and it's bad because it won't be quite as effective, because it really isn't any way to assault with these guys out of Deep Strike. So I kind of feel like there's that. So I'm gonna rate these guys a C. It's a solid C. They're basically a compulsory in a lot of lists that you have to take kind of as a tax. So they don't suck, but they're also not something that you're gonna take them and beat face with them. They're just kind of like, okay, well, I gotta take that, and they're not that bad. So I feel like that's a good grade of a C, right? Devastator Squads, normal price is Space Marines right there, 70. Now they can also take heavy grav cannons and grav amps, which for 35 points each, which is the same as Space Marines. So that's good. The Blood Angels can now do that as well, because again, now you can field everything that comes in the actual miniatures box, which is pretty sweet to see, and obviously, you know, not a slight against the Blood Angels' honor there. Now, moving into the formations themselves, we got lots and lots and lots to say about these. So first off, you've got the Battle Demo Company, which is probably the worst formation in here, to be quite honest. It's not objective secured. It's just average traits. It has a horrible tax, horrible tax. You have to take, if you take a Captain, you have to take a Command Squad. If you take a Chaplain, you have to take a Furioso. In addition to that, you have to take a Dreadnought. None of this stuff is objective secured. I mean, it would be mildly better if it was objective secured and you could have objective secured Dreadnought, Devastator Squad, Assault Squad, something. Like, give me something here. But man, this is not good, especially when you look at Space Marines and they're getting all sorts of freebies. They're getting Rhinos, they're getting that. You take 2 of these, you get that. But when you compare this and you slot this into the Angel's Blade Detachment, which is basically their Decurion, you're not getting anything good. Like, you're getting +1 initiative, which is cool. It's like, it was cool in 5th edition, it was cool in 6th edition, but it's not gonna give you free, you know, it's not gonna help you against 2,100 points when you're playing 1850. It's not gonna help you against deep striking grav cannons that are relentless and assault squads that are assaulting you and you can't assault them back. Like, it really blows my mind. And the worst part is, the absolute worst part is, for me, and I'm very disappointed in Games Workshop on how they did this, but if you go and you look in the Shield of Baal, there is basically the same exact, it is the Blood Angels Codex itself, actually, which is kind of silly when you start thinking about it. But the Blood Angels have a battle company in their actual codex, which is literally 2 of these. It's this doubled, right? So with the same basic thing, except for objective secured, and there's no silly tax. There's no, you have to take, if you take a captain and you take a chaplain, you have to take a command squad. They're just there. It's just included, right? Because you basically take both. But if you take both, it's objective secured. Like right there, objective secured. All this stuff is objective secured. Why would you ever take 2 of these when you can take this and all the stuff is objective secured and it's the same exact thing? Like, I don't get it. Like, it just blows my mind right there. Like, if you take this, I feel like you're at a disadvantage, and it's very unfortunate. Okay, and then we're going to jump over. So this is an F. Well, I don't want to say F. I'm going to say D, because it's not horrible. It's playable, and it's fluffy, and but it's not, you should never take this. You should be careful taking this. So we'll say this is a D right here. It's definitely a D. It's a low D. They could have done better, especially when you have this right here in the Blood Angels Codex. Now we get to the Archangel's Orbital Intervention Force. This is obviously an A right here. This thing is bananas. There's no tax. You just take 3 squads of Terminators. You can shoot twice, but in my opinion, why would you? You want to be assaulting with these bad boys. Now you got a 2-up save, 3-up invulnerable, Thunderhammer Storm Shield, obviously. You only get 2 attacks, and you're not getting any bonuses for charging. But here's the kicker, like, you're pretty resilient. You add in a Sanguinary Guard or something like that, or that's already on the prowl, and he can join, feel no pain or something like that. Like, it's pretty strong. So it's a very strong force, very strong formation. It has resiliency. Nobody likes getting hit in the face with 10 attacks, maybe possibly rerolls. Because, like I said, remember you put the Death Company Chaplain in here. Join him up like downrange or something like that, because he already has to be on the table. It's pretty strong, right? I like this. I think you're going to see a lot of this comboed up with other formations in other books. This is obviously an A. There's no way around it. Now, something I wanted to show you though was, check this out. If you go to the Exterminatus book from the Shield and the Ball, you will notice that there is exactly the same formation in here. Archangel's Orbital Intervention Force. Hey, that looks familiar. And, it looks like it has the same stuff in it. And it doesn't do the same thing. It has the same rule, right? So all units in this formation must be held back in Deep Strike Reserve. When making reserve rolls, make a single roll for the entire formation. Okay, cool. Now, all the units in this formation arrive from Deep Strike Reserve on a successful reserve roll, okay? Which is pretty much right there. Now, units in this formation can run and then shoot on the turn they arrive by Deep Strike is a sentence that was in this, but it struck from here, and they added the Orbital Intervention, which allows them, the Terminator Assault Squads, to instead charge on the turn they arrive from Deep Strike, but always count as making a disordered charge, or you can do a second round of shooting that does not need a line of sight and target the same enemy unit. So there's that too, which I feel like is kind of cool. They took the same name, they took out a sentence, they added this rule right here. So already we've seen basically two of the 9 formations that were just tweaked a little bit and republished. You know what I'm saying? Well, but don't get me wrong. This is a very strong formation here. You are going to see a bunch of these. Now the Archangel's Demo Company is a little bit. It's kind of. I like it. It's got squads. 1 Terminator Captain, 2 Furiosos, 5 units chosen in combination from the following list, which are basically your your Terminator squads, your elites right here. Now, you can reroll failed reserve rolls. Units in formation arriving from D Strike scatter 1d6 less. If it's your primary detachment, you can reroll your warlord traits. And reserve rolls from units in this formation, you can make that on your first turn. It is also stubborn. Now, does it get to assault out of Deep Strike? No. I think that's a huge detriment these days, especially when every book that has come out has had some sort of assault from D-Strike component. Even this one has two. You saw that in Trader's Fate as well, and obviously the Space Marines have it. So it kind of seems to be their thing and what they're going towards, and then they kind of took it away here. Now, the Archangel's Demo Company is also from the Shield of Baal, believe it or not. It was in the Shield of Baal book right here, or the Exterminatus book, and you will notice that it is literally the same thing. This same formation, except for this was led by Captain Kraling, or one Terminator captain, or a chaplain. So they just took a little bit out. They tweaked the rules a little bit. They still has the Storm of Angels. They renamed the Lord of the Host to the Angel's Virtue, basically. And that's pretty much it. And then they added in the Elite Strike Force and gave it Stubborn. So again, we're seeing now a third of the formations already were previously published. You could almost make and so I would say this one again is a C. It's not going to make or break anything, but if you put it in a list, it's solid. Like this isn't terrible. So we'll go with it. 10th Company Ambush Force. Okay, so it's obviously scouts. The whole thing is basically to get them in a position. They have the concealment. Each unit's formation that deploys using infiltrate and does not have the stealth is concealed. So basically it confers stealth until they move, run, turbo boost, charge, or fall back. During the first game turn, all units from the formation have precision shots, which is important to note. It's very hard to get that in the current edition of 40K. Now, I feel like you should just take the 10th Company Task Force from Space Marines if you're trying to bring in some Terminators and stuff, because they basically do the same thing. You can flavor them Raven Guard, and then they actually get shrouded instead of stealth. So it's pretty strong and something to mention here for the same exact, pretty much, restrictions right there, or composition. So maybe overlooking this, which it's definitely based off of that same formation, you can almost say this is, republished material even. But that being said, it's still solid, but I'm not sure I would ever take this out of the Blood Angels formation when I could switch right over to Raven Guard out of Space Marines and take that with that great Raven Marine chapter tactic. You just remember your chapter tactics go away if you mix other, codex flavors that have the chapter traits special rule. So I'm going to give this a solid C-, just because I feel like it's redundant and there's other formations obviously in the book that you can flavor using your chapter tactics or chapter traits that do it a little better. Death Company Strike Force again is another formation that was based on previous material, so it's a little disappointing there. But this thing will hit like a ton of bricks. This is a solid B formation, and I'll show you why. So first off, let's take a look at the history, shall we? So if you open up your Exterminatus book from the fall of 2014, you will notice there's something in here called, where is it? Strike Force Mortalis, I believe it was called. Yep, and that's it. So Strike Force Mortalis was 1 chaplain, 3 company squads, Death Company squads, 2 Death Company dreadnoughts, and a Storm Raven gunship. Now, while you don't see the Storm Raven gunship here, it actually, any Death Company squad in this formation can take a Storm Raven gunship as a dedicated transport. So it's kind of like an option, but it's kind of worked in there as well. So it's very similar to what we saw in the past, just tweaked a little bit over to the current 7th edition, almost 2 years later, right? Now, special rules wise, this is pretty solid. Models in the Death Company squad from this formation, if they're within 12 inches of the formation's chaplain, which could be the Death Company chaplain that we saw, well, has to be the Death Company chaplain that we saw in this book, get +1 attack. So now you're talking about a Death Company Marine that comes standard with 2 attacks, bolt pistol close combat weapon. On the charge, he's getting rage, so that's 5 attacks. Now you're talking 6 attacks. 6 attacks with a Space Marine, and if you take it as part of both the Death Company Decurion in here, or the Blood Angels one, the Angel's Blade one in the front, you're getting +1 initiative. So a lot of stuff to consider and a lot of bonus rules. Remember, these guys have a ton of special rules as it is. Matter of fact, let's just go over Death Company because they are one of those squads that just have so many special rules to begin with. It's kind of nutso that I think the only thing they don't have is standard. It's like rending that they used to have. Let's find it. Okay, Blood Angels. And go to bookmarks, because I'm sure I bookmarked them. I did not bookmark them. Bad Rob. Bad Rob. And Death Company. Dreadnought, Death Company Squad. Alright, so here we go. So, special rules. Fearless. Fear no pain. Fierce Charge, Rage, and Relentless. So not only are you going to get +1 initiative, you're also going to get Fierce Charge built in. They already have Feel No Pain. There's a great piece of word here in the back of the book we're going to talk about that adds to that, or at least one squad. These guys are just, they're built like a brick shit house. And they're going to hit, and they're going to wash over stuff like nobody's business with all those attacks. You know what I mean? So, and the fact that they're 100 points base, yeah, they're 20 points a Marine, which is, they're kind of in this weird, like, spot, kind of in between a Space Marine and kind of in between a Terminator, but they're still pretty solid. And when you have a lot of these bonuses from here, especially giving them hatred, and now, if you take that Death Company Chaplain as well, then he also confers to them the ability to reroll failed wounds on the charge as well. So one of these squads is just going to be tearing through stuff. And then the rest of the squads can have other chaplains that will also be conferring things like +1 to Feel No Pain. So if you do it right, you can have a pretty solid squad, or pretty solid, army even, or formation of Death Company that we're going to see here. So I think this is a solid B, because nobody wants to get punched in the face with 6 attacks. Everybody's got a plan, and it does not involve getting deep struck on with Terminators, and it doesn't involve getting 6 attacks, 5 attacks even, in the face with Death Company. That's for sure. The Golden Host is the next one up. I wasn't able to find anything quite like this previously. I thought there was something in the Shield of Ball books, but there wasn't. At least that I found. Obviously, if you know what this is based off, you can drop it in the comments there. But the Golden Host is great. You're going to see a lot of these, just for the fact that you get to deep strike and charge, which everybody loves. The Sanguinary Guard have 2 attacks base, so no big deal. Even if it's disorganized, disorderly, it's all good. Just remember, you're not getting your bonuses for Furious Charge or the Initiative as well, that are part of the formations if you take it as part of that. But you can take it on its own, which is great. The only tax is the Sanguinor or Dante. Oh no, terrible. Those guys rock. Well, maybe not the Sanguinor as much anymore, but Dante's pretty solid, let me tell you that. And that's a great way to sneak in a Lord of War into a formation, because remember, Dante's actually a Lord of War. A lot of people forget that. I know he's little, and he's from the 90s, but he's still a Lord of War. Don't sleep on Mr. Dante, because he is the Lord of the Inferno. So, special rules, obviously, you get to assault when you come into play, which is super awesome. You can also... all units in this formation must arrive on the same turn, and you get to choose the turn. They must also deep strike onto the battlefield. You can choose to reroll scatter dice when units formation arrive from deep strike reserve. So you're already -1 d6 because of Dante's Warlord trait. If he is your Warlord, which you should make him your Warlord, because that would be really good in this configuration here. However, and you get to reroll it. So the chances of deep strike mishapping are very low for any of your squads. You could also take this formation with just 2 squads and arrive on like turn 5 and come down and try to take some objectives after you come in with like some Terminators or something and beat people's faces in. Maybe even sideboard in a Skyhammer Annihilation Force to do, to make that 1, 2, 3 punch wave. There's options here, and I think they're good. This is obviously an A. I think you're going to see a lot of this in the future. Now, there's going to be a lot of debate which one's better, this one or this one. This one obviously 2 up, 3 up, invulnerable, that needs psychic powers to be good, is obviously more resilient than just a 2 up save here. But a 2 up save is nothing to sneeze at either, especially if you have, Dante leading the way, taking a lot of the fire. Now, he can't take it all, but he can take some. Remember, this guy's like 1100 years old. He actually can do stuff. Chapter Ancients formation is next up. I don't even know what to say about this. It's okay. I mean, you get to do some extra attacks and things. I'm just not seeing its super effectiveness. If you want to take it and you want to be fluffy, go for it. But it's a solid C formation. It's not terrible, but it's fluffy, and I like it. Storm Raven Squadron, 2 to 4 Storm Raven gunships. You get to shoot all the missiles in one volley at something, which could be pretty devastating, but the fact that that's nearly 1,000, well, I guess minimum, you're talking 500 points. But at 4, you could take, you know, it's obviously for bigger games, I feel like, at that point. Another solid C formation. I think it's okay, but I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of it on the tabletop unless somebody has 4 of these and just wants to play. And why wouldn't you? Lucifer Armored Task Force is kind of another formation that was based, I mean, it's based off the Hammer of Caliban, based off the other one in the Space Marine book. I forget the name of it, but it's loosely based off of previous formations we've seen in different flavored books. I think it's okay, and I like how it gives out the free overcharged engines, which is normally a 10-point upgrade to these vehicles. Land Raiders can't even get it. So like, that's pretty cool that you get a fast Land Raider. And now you've got something that you can maybe put those Death Company in if you're not doing the layered approach. So you got a bunch of Death Company, you got a bunch of Land Raiders. Hey, why not? That seems to go together pretty good, like peanut butter and jelly, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty solid. As far as, you know, fluffiness, remember these guys come up, they're master artisans. This is what they do. They make stuff. It's dope. They try to keep it to themselves because, you know, once the admin gets a hold of it, they give it out to everybody else. But that being said, this is pretty cool, and it's fast. They get scout, so they can close on stuff pretty quick. Now when you start crunching the math, doing the numbers on this, you know, if you have a Land Raider and it scouts, you can't assault on the first turn, but if they come at you, chances are they will be close enough for you to be able to seriously get into their grill with some Death Company or something like that. So it's an option just to keep open, protects your backfield pretty good too, I feel like. Then it gets into War Gear Ball, which we already know. You can take the Cherub with your Devastator Skull, which a lot of people do in the Gladiuses and such, to, you know, reroll those grab shots. You can take the Grab Amp, the Relic of Ball, which is that Thunder Hammer. That's mastercrafted. It's a 10-point upgrade for this guy in here. All that aside, then you've got the new Psychic Powers, which we've already gone over in our Angels of Death. Both review and tips and tactics. I think there's a write-up that came out recently, because I realized I hadn't done the write-up for that one on Spiky Bits, so that'll probably be going up at some point during this week as well. So that has gotten us through all of the formations. So now I feel like it's time to talk about let's since we're back here, let's talk about the Death Company. So the Death Company is basically their own kind of little section in this. You've got their own detachment, their own Decaron that they can take. They have their own relics as well, but they can draw from both the Relics of Ball and this as well. If you take the stuff from here, or individually you can take the Death Company Strike Force. You're allowed to pull from that, which is pretty good. This Warlord traits table is solid. It is very solid. The first one right here basically turns whoever gets it into Fate Weaver. So you get to reroll all this crazy stuff. It's better than Korbulu is right now with his all-seeing eye. I love it. Beacon of Rage. This one, you basically get fleet, so it helps you get into range, which you're going to see some of that kind of stuff over here. Cage Fury, your Warlord and any unit he joins has the Rampage special rules, so ramping up those attacks right there as long as you outnumber them. Infectious Tenacity. Your Warlord has the Feel No Pain special rule, which he should already, well, let's see. I guess the Chaplain already has it. Does the Chaplain already have it? I actually forgot to look at that. That would be interesting if the Death Company Chaplain does not come with Feel No Pain, because generally they have Feel No Pain. That's really weird. Okay, well, he doesn't have Feel No Pain, but Death Company has Feel No Pain. I guess he's more in control of himself right now. So that is actually a good Warlord trait right there. Okay, so that's the one to think of. If he already has it, he can add 1 to any Feel No Pain rolls you make for him instead. Pretty solid. Warlord has Rage. Again, it looks like he doesn't have the Death Company Chaplain does not come with Rage either, and it does not confer from the Death Company themselves. Visions of Heresy. Your Warlord and all friendly Death Company within 12 have the Hatred, Chaos Demons, and Chaos Space Marine special rule. Yeah, kind of lame. That's probably the lamest of all of them, to be honest. Then when it comes to the relics, I'm loving these relics. So a 2-up armor save, in addition to Adamantite Will and Crusader. Remember, Crusader lets you roll extra dice and pick the highest to run, which is really good. Also, it lets you get an extra D3 inches when you're sweeping. performing a sweeping advance, so it lets you run down stuff a little bit quicker. The Guardian's Blade, it's only 30 points. I mean, normally you're paying 25 for Artificer armor, so not too bad. A little bonus for 5 points right there. The Guardian Blade is okay. Strength to user, AP2, melee, armor bending, mastercrafted two-handed, so you're not getting +1 attack, but it's strength to user, and that can get pretty high pretty quick in this book because of all the Furious Charge shenanigans. So it's a little bit higher than average, so you'll be wounded a little bit better than average, but you do have Armor Bane too for going against vehicles, so it's kind of like the drawback in not having Flesh Bane, I assume. Blood Shard's 30 points. The Baer of the Blood Shard has the counterattack special rule. Alright, that's kind of cool. You could put it in a squad, but I don't know if it's worth 30 points. Ball's Vengeance, it's a pistol template that's poisoned 4-up. So it's cool against, you know, Tyranids or Orcs or something like that, but it's not going to do a whole lot against the stuff you see on the tabletop the most, like Space Marines. But they tried, and I like it, and it's only 20 points, so if you got an extra 20 points, hey, why not, right? Firestorm is a 12-inch range, Strength 8, AP1, Pistol, Melta, Mastercrafted. I love Mastercrafted because who wants to roll crappy when you're paying 25 points for a weapon? Now, my personal favorite, and probably my top pick, the A+, the gold star of the Relics of the Lost, right here, is the Gilded Crozius, because it's Death Company Chaplain only. It replaces the Crozius Arcanum. In addition to having a weapon profile below, all models in the Baer's unit have Feel No Pain special rule and can reroll Feel No Pain rolls of a 1. So you're going from that Feel No Pain of a 5 to basically a Feel No Pain of a 4-up, which is indicative of the old back in the day 5th edition Blood Angels. It gives the Chaplain himself that Feel No Pain that we just talked about, right? So it's solid. So that's kind of like your resiliency force. You know, you've got these other guys that can run in and do a bunch of damage, and then you've got one that can get stuck in and survive a little bit longer, which is pretty neat to see. Now, let's get to the actual Decurion, and then you can see how all this stuff slots in. So first off, your command benefits, you're going to see this a lot. Angel's Virtue lets you reroll the Warlord traits table, Red Thirst, all of these have it, even some of the formations. Basically, you get +1 initiative if you're not performing a disordered charge. Remember, Furious Charge goes away too if you are performing a disorderly charge. Unleashed upon the foes, immediately after setting up from a unit from this detachment, which could be any of these, during deployment, not deep strike, important note, you get to move the unit 6 inches as if making a move in the movement phase. The unit cannot run. So this rule right here is a direct port over from Age of Sigmar. We're seeing that a lot in Age of Sigmar. It's really cool because now your Death Company is getting closer, which is kind of dirty. Nobody likes Death Company closer to them. And nobody likes getting hit in the face with all those attacks. It's basically how it's built, or its composition, is 1 command, 1 core, or 1+ core, and 0 to 5 auxiliaries. So basically you're taking a Death Company Chaplain, Asterath, Lamartes, and probably for the most part a Death Company Strike Force, because they're core 1+. And then you can pick any of this stuff over here. Now remember what I was saying about those Land Raiders, right? Those fast-going Land Raiders, and now you can deploy it at an extra 6 inches. That seems pretty good. Now, get this, right? Immediately after setting up a unit from this detachment during deployment, you can move the unit 6 inches as if they're making a move in the movement phase. So, Scout happens last, and you move this as soon as you're deploying it. So it's a redeploy anywhere inside your deployment zone, and then you get to move it an extra 6 inches. So think about that for a minute, right? Just seems pretty good. And the fact that they're fast, also good, right? So this is some stuff to think about. Now you're like, I didn't really like that formation at first. It seemed kind of buster, but now I'm like, oh, I can put my Death Company in it, and I can maybe get there a turn sooner. That's pretty solid. I dig that. But not only that, it also has the Archangel's Orbital Intervention Force as well. So that's even cooler. These guys basically get all of these benefits as well. Not that you would set them up on the table, because that's just silly when you can deep strike in and basically assault things, but it's there and it's part of it, and you won't have to go to outside of the detachment to pick it up if you wanted to take it. And then of course Storm Raven gunships, Rapid Assault Force, if you just want to get in some assault squads or bike squads or something. Honestly, at this point I would jump over Well, they're not even an OBSEC as it is, so I wouldn't even. These I probably wouldn't even recommend even taking, to be quite honest, just because of the fact that they're not even OBSEC. So that is, oh, and then there's new tactical objectives. Interestingly enough, if you look at the Blood Angels Codex tactical objectives, compare them to this, they're all very similar, just tweaked a little bit, and two of them were in different order. I forget which one, but I didn't want to spend much time on that. I wanted to talk more meat and potatoes of this book here. So let's jump to the one thing that everybody's talking about, and that is actually the Angel's Blade Strike Force, because I still want to talk about some of these army lists real quick. So let's go over this. First off, it's a little bit bigger than the Death Company one, has a lot of the similar rules, but the one rule that isn't the same as back there that you've already seen is the Sons of Sanguinius. Any unit from this detachment that is reduced to half its starting number of models, rounding fractions down, immediately gains Zealot special rule. So basically, if you're a 5-man squad and you go down to 2-man, you got Zealot. If you're a 10-man and you go down to 5-man, you got Zealot. You know what I mean? So that's basically how it works. And remember, Zealot's pretty dope. Do not sleep on Zealot. That is a good special rule that a lot of people really desire. Now, that's all normal stuff. Command, however, is 0 to 5. So you have to take at least 5 of some sort of combination. Or excuse me, it's 0 of these. So you don't have to take any of these, but you do have to take a core, which is 2 decent things. And this is where it starts to go sideways on this detachment. Auxiliary was 1+. You have to take one of these over here. And honestly, for the money, I feel like the best one to take would be like this Rapid Assault Force, just because you could slim it down to just 1 assault squad or 1 bike squad as far as attacks goes. Because when you have to take one of these right here, they're not that good. We've already talked about that. And the fact that you would have to take one of these, it almost makes this, it's not good. It's hard. I could see this fluff, like I'm reaching for words to describe and paint this detachment in a positive light, but it's very difficult for me because this demo company is so much better if you take the formation version of it out of the Blood Angels book because it's OBSEC. This is okay, it's palatable, it's probably the better of the two, to be quite honest, but it just has too much stuff in it that you don't need to take. Like, you don't really need the 2 Furiosa Dreadnoughts, and it's just, it's brutal. This detachment gets a D. It gets a D because there's so much better stuff out there. Even the Trader's Hate form, Decurion, is better than this by far. Like it literally has breathed new life into chaos. Whereas this, you're like literally, wait, what? Why don't I just take the other thing, or Flesh Terror Strike Force, or something? Like, I don't get it. I mean, all of these formations individually usually give you the Red Thirst, and that's the only thing that's really beneficial right here. So I'm just not feeling it. I'm sorry, Games Workshop, but I think you fumbled the ball here on this one. You could have just put that OBSEC thing right there and done it like Battle Demo Company. But when you got stuff like Warcon running around the table with free models, or free upgrades rather, and you got the Space Marine Demo Company going around with free transports, like, and all you get here is Zealot, like, I don't know how to spin that. Like, I feel like what you were trying to do here was good, but it really got lost in translation, and this is not good. This is a hot pile. This is almost unplayable in this configuration, just because the fact that how many points this is, and the fact that you just can't take objectives. Like, there's no positive here to make you gamble for not being OBSEC. There really isn't. Especially in the fact that you can take 2 of these out of the main Space Marine book, or out of the main Blood Angels book, and boom, you're good. So that's kind of where we're at on all of that. Now let's talk about some army lists real quick. So take away that negativity and let's get some positivity in here. So first up, we've got the Blood Angels and Inquisition kind of fist bumping it. Now this is a funsy list. You're not going to win grand tournaments or anything with this, but it's funsy. So you got the Archangel Orbital Intervention Force, which Well, you're going to see this a lot. 15 Terminators punching you in the face with their Thunder Hammers and blocking your attacks with their Storm Shields. It's great. Flesh Terror Strike Force, which is the cheaty way to get a formation without taking 2 troops. But it really only confers the Rage special rule if you roll over a 10 to Assault. And I think there was one other thing that really isn't super important. But there is that. So that gets you a Tech Marine with a Teleport Homer, which is going to help guide these guys in. Some Marines with Melta Guns and Drop Pods are always good, again with a Locator Beacon to help guide these guys in. Then you've got more objective, or these are not objective secured squads, but they are pretty decent. Melta Guns and Furnace Pistols, they're going to come in, they're going to lay down some fire. Nobody likes getting shot in the face with all that Melta. It is no es bueno. And let me tell you what, having that many squads to basically come in and, stand by objectives, I guess. Well, actually, let's check the Flesh Terror Strike Force. I do not believe, like I said, I always do this and I always do all this research and I write all this stuff up and then I'm like, come to one little thing and I'm like, wait, can I do that? Like, what is Flesh Terror Strike Force? Is it OBSEC? I didn't think it was OBSEC. So, you can reroll. Good to know. Oh, that's it, yeah. There is no OBSEC in this. Unless... it's not a CAD. Nope, it sure isn't. So, you're not going to be OBSEC, but you are going to get that Rage Special rule if you roll a 10 or more to charge. And you can, if you make your HQ the Warlord, then you can re-roll the Flesh Terror's Warlord traits table. Alright, well, it is what it is there. But you do take 1 less troop, you get 6 fast attack choices, so more drop pods to come in and do drop pod things. Fortification, bunker, comms relay, escape hatch for shenanigans, of course. And remember, too, the comms relay is going to help get these guys in exactly when you need them. Inquisitorial Detachment, a Terminator with Demon Hammer, 3 Servo Skulls to help keep them off of you and dictate the terms of battle so they can't scout. And you also, I believe when you arrive by Deep Strike, you scatter 1d6 less, same with Blast. And then Ordo Xenos Inquisitor with Rag Grenades, always funsies, more Servo Skulls for everybody. And it looks like the Jacaros, the monkeys, coming in hot and probably hiding out in the bunker right there, doing pew-pew lasers from their laser rings. So, not too bad of a little squad for 1850. Again, it's a funsies list, but, I mean, when was the last time you saw vampires and monkeys on the tabletop, right? Do we want to save this one for last? No, we'll go ahead and talk about this. So, this is basically probably the strongest of the lists here. No, probably not. This is probably the middle of the road list right here. I rate this a solid, definitely an A. This one's probably a B's because you can have fun with it and it can do a good showing if you got your stuff painted and you're playing in a hobby-centric tournament. This one here is pretty good because you've got your standard loadout of Terminators. Oh wait, you've got even more Terminators. Terminators for days. These guys are crazy. It's crazy deals on Terminators. Then you've got just a standard cat of a Tech Marine, of course with a Teleport Homer, cheapest way to get one. 5 scouts with bolters. 3 Scout Bikers, 3 Scout Bikers, 3 Scout Bikers. Now, this is where the Raven Guard part comes in, because remember what I was saying about taking Raven Guard, because their chapter trait lets them get shrouded if they didn't normally have stealth. And Scouts don't have stealth unless they take the Camel Cloak. So, you don't take Camel Cloak, you don't move, you have shrouded. They also give +1 to the roll for Knife Fight. So a full, 5-up? So now a full 4 on a 4-up, most of your games are going to be Night Fight, which adds +1. So now you're getting +3 to your cover save, which is pretty solid, especially if they're in trees or something. You know what I'm saying? So that's something to think about. Just the fact that you have all this stuff. Remember, Scout Bikers also have Scout. Scouts also have Scout. So a lot of stuff to take into consideration here. Work your angles, get stuff in good positions, and wait for the Terminators to drop from the skies and just smash everything with their hammers. Bunker with comms relay, of course, to help reroll or to help roll those guys in, and it's a bunker, so you can put stuff in it. Nothing wrong with that. Last up is probably the most powerful of these lists right here. This is a combined Blade Angels, Ultramarines, Raven Guard, so it's Emperor's All-Stars. So you got the Archangel Orbital Intervention Force, again, 15 Terminators with Thunderhammer Storm Shield. It's like a reoccurring theme, I feel like. And the fabled Skyhammer Annihilation Force, which is 10 Assault Marines times 2 with 2 Eviscerators, Melt a Bomb, and Jump Packs. They're gonna land, they're gonna assault you, and they're gonna tear into you with those Eviscerators there, and have a Melt a Bomb in case you're a vehicle or silly monstrous creature / gargantuan. On the heavy support side, 2 multi-multis, 2 grav cannons, with 1 copy grab on the Sergeant. A drop pod with locator beacons for the Terminators is always good. Doesn't look like it's notated here that they have the Cherubs, but I would assume they do unless they didn't have points for them. Something to remember about the Skyhammer Annihilation Force, it works a little interesting because if you shoot them with these guys, remember they have Relentless, so they can land and shoot, even though they have heavy weapons. There's when you shoot something at the end of the shooting phase, it's 3d6 to their leadership. If they pin themselves or they break, then these guys actually get to reroll hits and reroll to wounds on the charge when they go to charge. So it's kind of a little bit of a bonus there too, to always remember it. It isn't just Relentless to these guys. It isn't just you get to Deep Strike, but there's also that as well. Then, of course, the fabled 10th Company Task Force. That's where your Raven Guard are going to come in right here. Oh, and of course, these guys are Ultramarines, so they're getting all sorts of Ultramarine reroll to hit, different types of, snap firing and things like that. So after you land, if you have to move, you might be able to reroll the snap fires with your heavy weapons. So that's always good too. If you have to go and keep your Ultramarine doctrines in mind too when you're running this. And then, like I said, the 10th Company Task Force here, Scout Bikers. These guys don't come with stealth, so they're going to get shrouded until they actually move during the start of the game, which is always good. They're coming with locator beacons for the Terminators, and of course, they're just doing scout things. So there's nothing wrong with that there. So I like the formations. I think Games Workshop's doing a lot with formations because none of these lists here had any troops in them, except for I guess the one on the Flush Terror Strike Force actually had a troop. So this seems to be a lot of the ways that 40k is going, or may go in 8th edition once they declunkify it and put in all of these formations, and maybe it'll go to like the battle line thing. I doubt they'll rename things, because we have troops elites and all that for so long. But hey, you never know. There was also core and artillery and all that in fantasy, and now we have different things in Age of Sigmar. But don't worry about that. That's all on the horizon. This is what we got now, and it's probably good. So overall, I'm probably going to give this book a high C, like a C+, just because there's a lot of stuff in here that doesn't make sense and is kind of silly if you take it, to be quite honest, but there's some stuff in here that's rock solid too. So I think it's definitely worth picking up. It's not complete garbage, but it's still pretty good, and I think that you're going to see parts of this in top level tournaments, a lot of competitive events, but you're also going to see it on the tabletop as well. At your local game store with a lot of people that are like, yo, I just want to play Death Company. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what this hobby is all about, playing what you want and having fun. So thanks for watching my tips and tactics review of the new Angel's Blade Codex. We went a little long, it's almost about 15 minutes, and I apologize for that, but sometimes I like to talk. That's it for this one, y'all. Thanks for watching.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.